Hey everybody, welcome to Celebrating Canadians. My name is Jody Faith and I'm excited to be in Medicine Hat, Alberta today with an old friend of mine. We actually went to school back in the day. This is Debi Stodolka.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Good, you're a grandma.
I am.
You are? How many grandchildren do you have?
I have two.
Two grandkids. I know I was visiting a little bit with Deb back and forth this morning, texting, and you said you were in the midst of very active grandchildren.
Yes.
How was that?
Best season ever.
Yeah. Now, do you get to babysit them regularly? Are you part of their lives on a regular basis?
Oh, yes. I see them all the time, and I get, so far, one every Tuesday. So,
okay. See, I've been on the road. A lot of people don't know me. I've been on the road internationally, out of Medicine Hat originally, to the world, really. And I have 20 grandkids with my husband, Bob. He had 11, and I have 9. And we don't often get to be with them on a regular basis. So I'm really jealous of grandmas who get to be, grandmas and grandpas, you and your husband, Glenn, right? And so what would be the best part of being a grandma, do you think, as far as being in their lives?
Well, I think probably for me, I get to pour into them without all the stresses of having to raise them.
There you go.
So,
yeah.
Unconditional.
There you go. That's nice. Very nice. Now, yourself, growing up, did you have grandparents?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, well, let's talk a little bit about the history. As you know, we're celebrating Canadians and we're actually celebrating maybe your story. As the audience looks on, then this, they might go, oh, I have the best story of how we came to Canada or what our life has been in Canada. Your grandparents came to Canada as immigrants. Is that correct?
Yes, they came from Landskrone, Russia, I believe it's called, in 1925, September 18th to be exact.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
And my father at the time was 1 year old.
Okay.
And so he's Canadian.
Yes.
But yeah, it's very cool history. I was actually reading this morning a history book that my Aunt Stella made up, and it goes way back even to my great-grandparents.
Nice.
And so yeah, it was very, very cool to just even do that little bit of research in preparation for talking about that today. So
yeah, oh, that's awesome. So my grandparents came out of Russia also. We were Mennonites who escaped communism. Now, was that part of the story that you heard growing up, or not so much?
Not so much. I know they had some issues, and I know that they had to flee, but I'm not 100% of the details.
So it wasn't a big part of your growing up years talking about the old country. And can we embrace that a little bit like they embraced, right?
Yes.
I think, tell me a little bit about what they thought of Canada.
Oh, to them it was giving their children hope and a new life and education. And I know when they first came, they actually started in Herbert, Saskatchewan.
Okay.
I just read this morning, which shocked me. And then on to Speedwell, maybe that's still Saskatchewan, I'm not sure, but the whole purpose, and then to Elm Creek, Manitoba, and that's where they stayed. And their whole purpose was education and farming and just a new life.
Oh, that's so cool. And I think that as second generation Canadians, which your father, you know, coming as an immigrant, now you're a second generation Canadian also, that's what I also heard from my father's people, was just to embrace this nation and to realize how blessed we were to be here and that kind of thing. So was family gatherings, did you keep your ethnicity as far as the Russian traditions or the Russian Mennonite traditions?
Mostly the Mennonite traditions. We traveled by train every single year to Elm Creek from Medicine Hat here. I grew up in Coaldale, so we would just drive to Medicine Hat and then take the train to Winnipeg and drive to Elm Creek. And so that was every year as a child. So those are my memories of being together. He was one of 11 children, I believe, and actually I think 14, but there was some that passed away. And so, yeah, we had big, huge family reunions.
Wow. And your father made a huge commitment to make sure he got back to Manitoba during those days.
Yes.
Because that's not something that was really common, was it? I mean, in my experience, and certainly talking with other immigrants, I have not heard where that younger generation in the 50s and 60s got to travel annually to see families. So that's really neat. Now, is that possibly because your dad worked for the rail line? I don't know.
Yes, my dad was a welder in the CPR. They called it the frog shop. He welded the actual train tracks, so to speak, for 33 years.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, we traveled by train for free. That was a part of his package, so to speak.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's
I loved it.
Awesome.
Yes.
And the memories you must have as children on the train.
Amazing, amazing memories.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you ever done any writing about those years and the memories from the train?
No, but it's definitely there somewhere in my, just thoughts here and there, but I haven't yet.
All right. Well, when we come back, we are going to talk about Debi's life as a writer. She's a local girl who has been immersed in writing and directing plays and performances for years here in the Medicine Hat area. We're going to learn how all that came to about in just a minute. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Celebrating Canadians show here on Shaw Cable. It's exciting to be with my friend and collaborator, if you will, somebody that I love singing and sharing creative sort of juices with, Debi Stodolka. Welcome back, Debi.
Thank you.
Today we have talked a little bit about how your family came to Canada and how you've been able to actually watch your family evolve and grow and those kinds of things, just a little bit. But now what we want to do is we want to let you talk about your journey as a creative artist. You've been writing and producing, directing plays for years. I remember actually way back in the early 90s when you started just sharing things in this small group of girls, you know, oh, I wrote this or that. And this has really evolved for you, hasn't it?
Yes. I've been a part of drama probably most of my life. Like right back in school, drama was kind of my thing. It's where I excelled even more than academics. But then on to college, and drama was also kind of my thing as well. And we did a little bit of writing there, but nothing too extensive. And then when I moved to Medicine Hat, we started attending a church where actually a fellow by the name of Harold Crochane came from Hollywood, so to speak. He directed, he was a part of a team in Hollywood on stage, so to speak, and he came to Medicine Hat for kind of a break, a stress break, so to speak, and ended up staying. He had a twin sister here, and he ended up staying, and so he started this theater company called King's Players at Glenview Nazarene Church. And so my husband and I acted in his plays, which were incredible.
Oh wow. Now let's just stop and talk. What was his name?
Harold Crochane.
Harold. So I bet there's going to be lots of viewers, especially in the local area around Medicine Hat, that remember Harold and some of the work that he did. And isn't it awesome? I'd love to hear Harold's story. Like, why Medicine Hat? I think that that's one of the coolest parts of the story when we talk about celebrating Canadians. How did you come to be in Medicine Hat and why? So because of his mentorship in your lives, you and Glenn got involved and probably thrived under his leadership.
Loved it.
Nice.
And then he ended up taking a position at Rosebud Theater in Rosebud, and which left kind of a huge hole with the King's Players. And after about 2 years, I was in Winnipeg, actually, visiting my brother and his wife, and my sister-in-law, Chris Martins, wrote a play called Who's Raising What? And she performed it there, and I laughed so hard and enjoyed myself so much. There was no set. It was just kind of like black box theater, and all of a sudden I just felt like it was something that I could do. So I asked her if I could do her script. She gave me all the stuff, and I came home and I tried my hand at directing and absolutely loved it. We had about 350 people attend.
Okay, let's just stop and talk about this for a minute. So you didn't just put together your sister-in-law's play. You actually turned it into an event.
Yes.
This is an important thing. I think there's lots of poems that have been written. I think there's a lot of scripts that could be written, a lot of amazing creative energy that's been put out by people in their living room, but it's never seen.
Right.
Right? And so there's something that's ignited with someone like Chris saying, yeah, Deb, go, come on, go for it. This is awesome. And so it's the releasing of whatever she did in Winnipeg, right? From Manitoba through Saskatchewan to Alberta now. And you had people who actually laughed here also?
I loved it.
Yes?
Yeah. And it was such a success that the Medicine Hat Christian Counseling Center asked us to perform it again for their fundraiser. So we did it at the Cypress Center with like a little over 600 people.
Wow.
And so that was in 1991. And then I did about 4 more years of my sister-in-law's plays, because she's just an incredible writer.
Okay.
And then she decided to take a break, which left me going, what to do now?
Here's all this really great
I know,
stuff coming to me, and I don't even have to think about it. I just know it's going to be good.
Yes.
Now, I want to ask a question that's coming to mind, especially with the Christian Counseling Center. God bless you guys for doing what you've done through the years, and how important that organization is to some of our mental health. Is laughter always important to you in this sort of genre that you've been kind of ignited in? Do you think laughter is important?
Over the years, and I've been doing this for 25 years now, and if we always have the comment cards, right?
Yeah.
And I would say out of all the 25 years of the encouragement we've received, it has been, thank you for making me laugh. And we always have our shows usually the end of November, beginning of December, kind of the kickoff to Christmas.
Right.
And so our comments are, you always, you kick us off to the Christmas season and to the message of Christmas, but you make us laugh. And that is what matters to me, is it's just become my place where I can just let go and just have fun.
And isn't it important? I think one thing I said to someone just recently was that I've never laughed in my life like I laugh because of Facebook. You know, you get these crazy cats and these moments and all those kinds of things that are going on, but we laugh out loud. Well, 25 years ago, there wasn't a lot of places that people could laugh 20 years ago, even 10 years ago. And so you became sort of this promise in people's lives that they would not only be well entertained and enjoy an evening out with you. Now, I'm just remembering though, when we came as a family, because we did that for a number of seasons, we would try to make sure we were around. We actually did a dinner theater. Is that something that evolved also?
The dinner theaters evolved when Harold Kershane started it.
Okay,
it was
so-
always a dinner theater.
Okay.
And so I just kind of kept the same pattern when I started in that ministry.
Okay, cool. So now, new season, new things happening for you. Tell us about The Father's Heart, and how did this entire production come to be?
Oh, well, I really enjoy writing comedy. That is kind of my genre. I like to make people laugh, but this one afternoon, I had some ladies at my house, and we were having a Bible study, and there was a reading about the whole story of Jesus shown through the eyes of the Father. And it was a short reading, and my friend read this to me, and all of a sudden I had this picture of how the Father in heaven may have reacted to watching his Son. And
So now let's just clarify, this isn't something that you read anywhere in the scriptures specifically. It's not something that you heard. It was your
like a
imagination. It was kind of a vision that started building. Would you, like, is that a
Well, it was like I
I
was hearing this reading. It was like a reading of, it was a reading.
Like almost like a simple poem or something someone was sharing.
Yeah, it was a book. Well, it was a short little book called "And Then He Called My Name" by Richard Exley.
Okay.
And it's just a reading in there about the Father's perspective. And as she was reading it, I just saw this whole picture unfold in heaven of what it would have been like when they watched him die.
Wow.
And
so it's specific to the Easter story.
Yes.
Okay.
And it just moved me. And I remember saying to my girlfriends right there, I said, "Oh, I can see a play." And I kind of sat on it for about 2-3 months and thought about it. And then I was at a ladies' retreat, and we were singing the song "When I Survey the Wondrous Cross."
Oh, that old hymn. We could sing that right now because that's public domain.
Yeah, well, you can sing that.
Okay, or not.
But I was listening to the words, and again, I was moved. I was moved where it said, "See here his hands, his feet, his side, and blood mingling down," and the power of what he was doing on the cross. But I didn't see Jesus, I saw the Father crying.
Oh, wow.
And it was at that moment that I kind of had an epiphany that I had to write it. And it was like, okay, I will write it. I will write your story.
Oh, wow.
Because Jesus' story is written, and it's the focus every Easter. But I just felt strongly that the Father wanted me to write his side. And so it took me probably a year, and I wrote it based on the book of Luke in the Message. I used that.
Okay, so there's many, many translations of the Bible, but you felt like you should be doing the Message, which is, for lack of a better word, a contemporary English
like a story
kind of version, story version. Okay.
Yeah, so I used that, and then I called a good friend of mine who's his name is Paul Jarrett, and Paul was a recording, like he's done professional recording and sound, and I knew he worked with like some famous people, and I asked him, I said, I just want to share a vision with you, and I did, and I said, could I have your help? And he said, I'm in. Hey. And so we set up microphones, and we did a 30 people radio theater.
Oh, okay,
and he recorded the whole thing, and was done professionally. And then
now, is that something people can find online now, or
not quite yet? No. I'm getting there.
Okay. Where do you see yourself going from here?
From here, just it's exciting for me to be able to perform it at the Monarch Theatre. You hear it. I just wanted to finish. You hear the story, but what you see on the stage is the Father and the angels in heaven. Right. And so it kind of gives you the whole picture of the story itself and everything encasing. I wrote this 12 years ago, so I've been doing this for 12 years with a cast of 6.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yes.
You do this every year.
Well, pretty much every year we do this.
Oh, cool. Who knew?
Yeah.
Maybe some of you have already all seen it then.
I don't know, but we've done it in Vancouver a couple of times. We've been in Calgary numerous times, Saskatchewan. I sold the rights to someone in Los Angeles, and they performed it there. Nice. And so, I've been doing it a long time, but only with the small cast.
Right.
So I'm really excited to do it at the Monarch Theatre because we're having a cast of about 30, 35. So the power of the voices and the bodies it's just a bigger deal. So I'm really excited to perform it there.
Well, it's an amazing thing, Deb, to hear about the Father's heart and how that's come to be, and the fact that it's still going strong, which is cool. Even though you've completely changed venues, you have an entirely new challenge in front of you with a cast of many, as compared to few. I know I've had casts of over 50 and 60 and 70 in Arizona, where my husband and I have enjoyed life in the winter sometimes, and it's a whole different thing. But you would be able to attest also then to the fact that because your sister-in-law encouraged you, you're doing what you're doing today. Because your husband and your family obviously let you be part of these kinds of productions, you're able to do this. Let's talk a little bit about the hands that have been united around you, making sure that this new season is kind of kicking off, because it must be interesting for you.
Oh yes, very interesting. Yeah, I give huge kudos to my sister-in-law. She is a great mentor. She's very creative. very open and honest, and has been by me. They surprise me and come from Winnipeg just to see the place sometimes.
Oh,
Like
nice.
so, the support is incredible. My husband has been amazing. He acts in a lot of the things that I do, and supports me, and gives me lots of grace, because it doesn't just take a ton of time. It takes my mind. It takes everything, and so it's a huge undertaking. And obviously my kids, even my mother, my 82-year-old mother was in one of my plays, and so it's yeah.
It became a family affair.
It really did. So
Neat.
I have a lot of support. I have an incredible drama club who has been with me for a long time, and some have come and some have gone, and some flee when I come into their presence because they don't want to be asked.
Well, thank you for leaving sometimes, because
yeah.
I was invited to be in this, but I'm going to be touring for a month, and I'm away. So I was sad to pass up the opportunity of working under you and being part of this, because it is an important story to be told, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love this story.
In all sincerity, we just wish you well. We wish that those creative juices will continue to flow, and we look forward to new things from Debi Stodolka and crew,
Yes.
whoever they are. Thank you to you for being with us today. It's been a privilege to be in front of you, and it's been a privilege for me to be able to kick off a new season in my life as I'm coming home to Medicine Hat, although my heart is, you know, in Saskatchewan, where my husband is even today, or it's out in Manitoba, where we have so many friends. We just thank you for your support, and we thank community programming and Shaw Cable for allowing us to tell Debi's story today.